Commissioner Peduzzi, Fire Rescue Station 8 staffing.
Thank you, Mayor. I did contact your city administration on Friday to let them know that I'd be willing to roll this onto another commission work session agenda. While I'm certainly interested in seeing that all of our fire stations are fully staffed, I also can appreciate how much our fire department probably has on its plate at this point, especially with EOC activation. I certainly want to have this conversation at another time if we don't do it today or if we're not prepared to do it today, particularly with regard to the staffing of stations 8 and 9 in our western communities. As I understand it, those stations are at partial staffing because they're either or at this point. And I just want to make sure that all of our residents have equal access to fire protection and to make sure that everyone is safe in our city. But as I said, I'm willing to roll it to another date.
You're not suggesting you have information that they aren't safe, are you?
Mayor, I'm looking forward in the future to the growth that's expected to happen in areas of our western communities. And I am suggesting that having an either-or station where you can only have an engine or a rescue role, but not an engine and a rescue role, is a potential situation that could be unsafe. You can't even roll to a typical car accident without calling for another agency to assist in most situations. A simple car accident requires an engine and a rescue. Rescue personnel to transport patients that may require treatment at a hospital, and an engine to potentially extricate the people from the vehicle or to contain any spills that may occur. So I think that right now we've got other agencies due to the closest unit dispatch and being a part of the county's dispatch system. But I think a city such as West Palm Beach should be in a position to take care of the situations that may arise with city resources and not necessarily have to rely on other agencies for assistance.
Well, I'd like to hear the data on that and hear what our chief has to say. Are we prepared for this one? Because there she is. Chief Matty, do you want to address staffing concerns, this issue?
Certainly, if I may. Station 9 is currently in a apartment complex out off of Haverhill Road, and the reason for opening Station 9 was the growth in the western communities. So that started out in a strip mall. Now we've moved into an apartment complex, and we are working on getting the temporary structure moved out there to some land off Roebuck and Haverhill. So that's a couple of maybe 6 months out there to have the temporary, which is a trailer, and we will have a rescue truck running out of there as we do now. Future plans for that include a permanent fire station, which, as call volume grows and as the demand calls for it, we will be building the building to suit an engine and a rescue and other vehicles as needed. And also the ability to store things in the west if we do get a hurricane. That's another reason for having extra bays in fire stations. Station 8 was built the same. We now have a brick and mortar station. We were running out of a trailer for about 13, 14 years. About 14 years. So we now have that brick and mortar station out west. We can accommodate that as there is growth in those western communities. Does that answer kind of what you're getting at? Or is there more?
Well, let me ask a question. I mean,
Yes, sir.
based upon your professional opinion, if we are the residents of the western communities somehow at greater risk because of current staffing levels? Listen, it would be great if we didn't have to rely upon memorandum of understanding with other units, but the bottom line is the safety of our citizens. So in your professional opinion, are our citizens safe out there?
They are safe, but it is the fact that we are dependent upon other municipalities to backfill those 911 calls. As the commissioner stated, if we do have a major vehicle accident out on North Lake, Station 8 can get there with one truck, 3 people, but we also will have Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Beach County coming in, possibly even Riviera, depending on where it is, to enhance that. So it is not unusual in a more remote location like that to have to deal with longer response times, to have to deal with mutual aid coming in from different areas, because that is an area where it's covered by a bunch of different, whether it's county or other municipalities. Station 9, there's a pocket of Palm Beach County that runs from there. We cover it from Fire Station 6 on Cumberland. We also cover from Fire Station 7 on Okeechobee Boulevard. So that's kind of surrounded, but we put that truck in there to reduce those response times to that long stretch between Roebuck and 45th.
What other response times, and what's the response time patterns over the last 2 or 3 years?
We're averaging lately in the past couple of years about 6 minutes and 34 seconds.
And how does that compare to other districts?
It's very good. It is very good compared to other areas. Palm Beach County has a very large area, and they have their numbers in the rural areas are, it takes longer to get there, and we have that offsets our average. Our numbers in the downtown are quite a bit faster, but we're right here at 5th and Dixie, and, we're able to get around the downtown where, some of the longer stretches, or if we're out of zone, if Station 8 is not in zone, then we have to rely, the first due unit will be coming from Palm Beach County or Palm Beach Gardens. It's going to obviously take longer to get there.
Okay.
That's the first due unit availability. That's why we put that other truck at Fire Station 7 2 years ago, to reduce that period of time where that first due unit wasn't available to take that call in that zone.
All right. Yes, Commissioner Meduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. And just a brief follow-up, I live obviously in those western communities, and
As do I.
right, and more often than not on the north side of our western communities, because of the fact that we really only have one apparatus out there that can be available at any one time. I see more of Palm Beach Gardens and Palm Beach County Fire Rescue in Ibis and on North Lake Boulevard than I do the city of West Palm Beach. And all I'm asking for is just to make sure that we continue that conversation in building our resources, our city resources, so that everyone can be assured of proper fire coverage, no matter where you live in the city.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shove.
Thank you, Mayor. I think what I hear today, we have a brand new fire station out west, so things are new and they take some time to scale up. And I'm sure, from administration side, they have a plan to scale up eventually. Is the question perhaps what that scale up looks like? Is it a short term or a long term? And I know that depends on budgeting and many other factors that go into it, but it sounds to me like that's the conversation. I mean, obviously, we want safe communities everywhere. The city has made a significant investment in a very nice state-of-the-art fire station, and I think the goal would be to staff that full-time the whole way around. But again, if it's commonplace that interagencies would respond and that's the standard, then that's the short term. And then is there a long-term plan to fully staff that? Is that a goal that's out there?
Yes, it's in our 5-year strategic plan that we published in 2018. So in our 5-year plan, so we're looking at full staff in our strategic plan, obviously our future growth. Fire Station 9 being fully staffed, Fire Station 8 being fully staffed, and EMS captain servicing the western communities where we only have one for all of our stations. So it's a very busy truck that's an emergency medical supervisor that covers all of the shootings, stabbings, any sort of large-scale accident, any major medical emergency. We have a captain that's highly trained that oversees the medics on that call. So we moved them out to Fire Station number 5, which is off Congress Avenue, to have better coverage for that person. As the call volume continues to grow, we will need another one of those. So we do have that all captured in our strategic plan, and it is, it's all, again, in my utopia, absolutely.
So it sounds like you have a scalable model in place so that as time goes on and the growth occurs, that you'll provide more staffing as needed. And I think certainly we would all prefer sooner rather than later, but we do have limited resources, and so you can address that as it comes up too.
And Commissioner, we do intend to apply for grants to get the new firefighters in the door so that we can train them in time for that growth. So we have to have them in the front door first, because as it stands now, our existing staffing model will not support that without gobs of overtime.
Certainly, and certainly supportive of making sure you have the staff in place. Same but different conversation. I had a conversation with a resident in Riverwalk about an access road that was apparently gated but had access for the fire department that had some gates that weren't functioning that could potentially impact your call time.
Yeah, and our Assistant Chief of Administration has been working closely with them. My understanding is that the gate is constantly being manipulated by individuals who are passing through the driveway gate, pushing it open, so it's causing problems with the motor, and we've replaced it numerous times, but so it is an ongoing situation that we could probably easily resolve by just putting in a man gate to the side of the car gate.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions on this? Thank you, Chief, very much. Appreciate it.